Shalom, call Yahawashi, Yahawashi, Shalom to the elect. That's a video I was thinking about making. I just want to sit down and actually get into it. Now, recently you had this UN General Assembly say gathers for the fourth day of high-level 76 session. And in these assemblies, you have a representative of each nation of people in general on the earth. But there's no representation for us, though. Nobody representing us, which we will be up under the U.S., but Esau don't really care about our people. Shit, they don't even care about their own people, but they do have an agenda, and they created this Space Force, which get my screen a little bit clearer. The Space Force, which you see on the news and different other stuff like that, they've been promoting, talking about the sixth branch of the military. Now, I'm gonna let this video play. I'm gonna pull a few precepts and I'm gonna go into detail on. Our people still don't know who we really are. Still scrambling around looking for answers. And at the same time, Esau know who we are and hide it. And they prepare for when Yahawashi come back.
Couldn't help at one point in our discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think, we're all God's children, wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held. If suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
And it is going to be a threat to this world, to Esau's world. See, it's going to be a threat to them. But let me rephrase that. It's going to be a curse to them, but a blessing to the elect, because you're going to have a bunch of stuff going on around that time too. Let me pull this precept. This is in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7. It says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought his angels. Now, another precept in the book of 2nd Ezra, look at that. I want to say it's in chapter 13 if I'm mistaken, so hold on. Go ahead and go to it. Now listen to what he's saying and listen to what these scriptures say. This is why they try to hide these other books too. You look into the meaning of the word apocrypha. That's basically what it means, hidden away, or hidden books. It's the reason why, because it lines up clearly with the book of Revelation. Let me let this play.
We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together. Well, I don't suppose we can wait for some alien race to come down and threaten us, but I think that between us we can bring about that realization. In our...
Now look, in 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, let's see. I want to start at. Now they got it in the actual, the old King's English, so they got some wording different. But I still know what to say, so I'll just go ahead and read it. It says in verse 3, it says, and I beheld and lo, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. And that man is talking about Yahawashi. And you go in the book of Revelation, it breaks it down to, even though it says Michael right here, Michael and his angels, and Yahawashi is going to be in the front of Michael and the angels. It says, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. When he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whatsoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth fell when it filled with the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And that's basically what he's talking about right here. Said all, let me run this back.
in mind might be in these meetings that we held. if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe, we'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings.
Let's see. And guess what's going to happen when they do that? It says, and after this, over here in the low, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue that man, subdue the man that came out of the sea. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen a regional place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And this goes into, that's how you know the actual books in the Apocrypha is accurate, because if you go to the book of Revelation, it breaks it down. Like it says, what's the one precept I'm trying to think of it exactly? It said, all eyes shall see him. Let me get that real quick. I don't want to butcher it. So for all eyes to see him, we gotta, hey, Yahawashi gonna come back on a big ship, man, with the angels too. You know they're gonna be decked out. You ever had a chance to see a chariot, a so-called UFO or whatever, you know they look glorious and heavenly and out of this world. Now in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 7, it says, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. Also, it was piercing, all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. Backing up what 2nd Ezra's talking about, back in verse 7, in 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 7. It says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was grazing, and I could not. After this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. As Esau, as proud as they are, they still gonna be shook up once they see this sight. Especially seeing dark-skinned beings, because all throughout time, you go look at all these movies. Better yet, let me put it real quick, just for edification's sake. When you go look up all the biblical movies and different historical accounts, for some strange reason, let me just type in King. See the type of biblical movies that pop up. For some strange reason, there wasn't nothing but Caucasians on earth. I know I can find. Let me go browse through the history real quick. There's one thing I check out too whenever I have time. Watch some of these different movies. Okay, here you go. You got the faith movies, right? Solomon. Now, come on, man. When you read the scriptures, they clearly tell you how Solomon looked. And it definitely wasn't like that. Paul. Clearly tell you how Paul's looked. It's damn sure wasn't like that. You got a movie called The Savior. See, this is what they do, man. That's why the scriptures say the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, and he covered the faces of the judges thereof. Look at it. Come on now. Yahawashi wasn't looking like that, man. Peter definitely wasn't looking like that. See what they got on there. That's why it's good to read these books, man. Esther definitely wasn't looking like that, man. They put that out. Samuel. Come on, man. You mean to tell me something? Everybody in the hottest region of the earth, that's how everybody look. Daniel. That's blasphemy, man. But this is what they push out. So a lot of people, they see this, even the angels. And I ain't gonna go into all the scriptures that mention how certain men look. I am gonna go into the one that mention how Yahawashi look, but I'm not gonna go into all the others. They basically break down the skin tone, the fierceness, and you got, come on, man, Joseph and Mary, man. Really? Look at this. The angels, you got a little baby with a butt-naked baby. It's supposed to be an angel flying around. Come on, that's not accurate, man. If you ever had an account, and you have men that actually had accounts, even in these times, and it's going to increase. They don't look like this. the butt naked baby floating around with a diaper on a sheet. See, if you don't do your homework or have any experience, Esau can push this out, and this is the image that's gonna be in my. Now let me go back to this, and then I'll go to the one precept to talk about how. I want to say it was his arms and his loins was brown or dark. I'll get to that in a minute. But give me 1 minute though. Now back in 2nd Ezra chapter 13. In verse 8 it says, "And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight." And they're going to be spooks in them dark-skinned beings, those angels. And they ain't no money or no Esau going to be able to look, I'll give you this, give you that. Ain't none of that going to help their ass out. It says, "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, and he lifted up his hands, nor held a sword, nor any instrument of war. Only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as there had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath. And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests." Scroll down, it says, "And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one. Yet upon a sudden, and an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid." And that's what's going to happen. You got to think about it. You got the Air Force, you got the Space Force, you got whatever other branches that Esau got too, because there's other ones they got tucked in the cut that you don't hear about in the open. They're going to go up there and fight, or try to fight, and get their ass wiped out and turned into dust. And you can't say it ain't possible, though. If you ever looked at a video with a laser or something like that, lasers turn stuff into dust. Esau got them, like the DEWs. Go look that up, DEWs. If they got them, let's imagine what the angels got. Yeah. Let me see. Go to this other precept. I want to say it's in the book of Daniel, if I'm mistaken. Give me 1 minute. Okay, yeah, one is in the book of Daniel. That ain't the one I'm gonna get first, since I'm already right here in the book of Revelation. Now it says in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, just to give a little insight back into what I was talking about. Chapter 1, verse 13. It says, "And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire." Now, you see how people want to play games and say, "Oh, see, it says his hair was white." It clearly says his head and his hairs were white like wool, white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, his feet like unto fine brass. So if you look at brass, see what I got in here. It's brass right now. But yeah, you know what? I think I got a few things sitting close by, just for edification's sake. Let me see. Got some keys sitting right here. Now look, if your feet look like this, ain't no. I don't know who the other guy is that you don't pull it out. Let me see. It says, "And his feet like unto fine brass that they burned in the furnace." Now when you look at some feet like they burned in the furnace. Alright, hey, I even put mine on there just for edification's sake. Look at some feet is like dark. Hey, all this other shit that they got up here. Let me go back to this. Who is this character right here? Come on, man. Everybody wasn't like this back then. Yes, you had some Edomites running around that looked like that, but those wasn't the main people around. Man, look how they got Moses in there, man. Come on, man. You mean to tell me this is the guy that hid with the Egyptians? Anyway, let me go back to this. Now it says, back in verse 15, it says, "And his feet like unto fine brass, and that they burn in the furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters." So he ain't had that soft, weak-ass voice that they be trying to put in the movies either. It says in his hand, and he had in his hand, right, or in his right hand, 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp two-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. Does this look like a guy with a countenance that, let me go back to this. Go right back to it. Now some of these movies, I ain't gonna say they're not good to watch for edification's sake, but you gotta do your homework too. Now, does this guy look like the guy that this described right here? The sun shining in his strength? Fuck no. Look at that. Come on, man. That's a joke. So even when I came up when I was a young boy, my mom, she ain't had this shit sitting around. We had actual brown skin angels, brown skin pictures. So it was already in my mind anyway. And it's not just when people be like, oh, well, you racist or whatever. It's not just a color thing. It's a truth thing. Because if it didn't matter, then why do this? Like people always be like, facts. Hey, the facts in the book, man. Let me go back to the other precept real quick. Listen right in there. All right, this is it. The book of Daniel, chapter 10. We go down to verse 5, and I just read this, and I'll get back to these other precepts I want to get, and then I'll end this off. So I'm already, video already getting a little lengthy. I know how people got short attention spans, so